Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Justin the Food Entrepreneurs Show. I'm Justin Bizzarro. I'm your host. That's Bizzarro. For anyone who's out there, you can find us on Instagram at Justin the Food Entrepreneurs or on Facebook and Instagram at Justin Bizzarro. You can find me again. That's two Z's, two R's. You can also find Gorilla Brave anywhere on social media at this point, including TikTok, which we just worked on today. So that'll be launching as well. So everyone, where I'm trying to get it out to everyone, I know everyone uses different mediums to communicate and on social media. So I'm trying to make sure we do all of that. It's taking me a while to build this and figure it all out with you guys. So I appreciate the patience. 6 years going. We haven't missed a week yet almost. We've recorded an episode that populates every week for 6 years, almost at least one a week. And now we've upped that a little bit, but just so the audience knows that wasn't an easy task to accomplish over the years. So that being said, I have a very special guest with us. I have Ron Cohen from Battleborn Smokers out of Reno, Nevada with us today. How are you doing today, Ron?
I am doing excellent. And you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. This is my fourth podcast today, so I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, normally I don't record more than 3. 2 is a good number, but when the entrepreneurs ask to reschedule or have certain commitments and try to make it, I try to adjust for them for sure. So we're cooking along. Yeah, so there's definitely the weeks off here and there for sure, or recording or vacation. So that's sort of why I stack them. But let's talk about you. Let's talk about your story, Ron. Let's talk about little Ron to big Ron, building a business, why are in food, what draw you to your style of food, all these type of things that I think are part of your story. You can take as long as you want. The mic is yours, and I'll ask you questions as we start moving along.
Perfect. Well, I'm actually professionally fairly new to food. Obviously, we all cook at home, or we wouldn't be here. I was actually a construction guy. I had 30 years in heavy commercial construction. I actually even owned a construction company for 15 years. I started a retail store based on outdoor cooking as my exit strategy out of construction. So in that process, I learned everything I could about outdoor cooking, whether charcoal, gas, propane, pellets, you name it. Then we started down the path of competitions. Started off very small, absolutely made a fool of ourselves the very first time we did a competition. It was a KCBS, which is Kansas City Barbecue Society, sanctioned event. It was here locally. We went to it. We thought we were king shit at Turd Island, and it proved that we were not. We absolutely had no idea what we were doing. We did the wrong ribs. We cooked the tri-tip completely wrong. We cooked it like we would in our backyard with our buddies. And the competition world is very different from drinking beer and cooking in your backyard. But, we didn't let that discourage us. We kept going, kept doing more competitions, traveling through California when we could. Most of these competitions are on the weekend, so we could close the store, load up the trucks, and take our big smoker and head on down the coast and hit barbecue competitions when we started winning. Along that path, you start to meet people in the barbecue world. It's a very somewhat tight community, really. And we hooked up with a guy that was actually based out of Reno. He had a team called Getter Smoked. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. We have the Best of the West Nugget Rib Cook-Off here in Sparks every year. For the big shows, it's actually considered the Super Bowl of rib shows and competitions. Hundreds of thousands of people show up. It's a week-long event. It's completely brutal. But the guy that we met from Getter Smoke, he competed in it. So he was a huge help to us, kind of getting going better at the competitions. He talked me into last May, almost a year ago, to entering a rib show in Carson City, our capital, at one of the local casinos. and it's a 4-day event over Memorial Day, and it was one of the biggest shows we've ever done. For us, it was a great learning experience into that world of very fast-paced, very aggressive, nonstop cooking for the barbecue side. Well, right before all of that happened, I was at a show, a competition in Lodi, California, and we had our traditional trailer smoker and we were sleeping on cots, and I was watching this guy across the street that had a food trailer and it was barbecue. And I thought, man, if he just tweaked a few things in that, he could really start producing a lot of product out of that trailer at a very fast pace. And instead of us spending money to do these competitions, we might be able to make money going to these competitions. So I went down the rabbit hole of designing a food trailer. Now, my construction experience was always restaurants, bars, parking garages, high rises. So I had a lot of experience in the food industry, and I always loved cooking. I always liked kitchens. So when I designed our trailer, I incorporated our smoker onto it, which is an Old Hickory smoker. That's the brand out of Missouri. NSF rated, commercial type smoker. You can produce a lot of food on them. I incorporated that in there, that the trailer builder, I had it built in Tennessee. They had never seen that before, and they really struggled with it. So I had kept drawing it and providing weights and dimensions. And I said, just you build the trailer with this hole in it. I'll mount all the smoker and I'll finish the trailer when it gets here. So I actually sold a Blazer I had. I sold my Harley and paid cash for the trailer. Drove to Tennessee, picked it up, drove it back from Tennessee to Reno, and spent the next 2 months putting it back together the way I wanted it, how I envisioned how I was going to function in it, which changed as the year goes by. You function differently after doing it for a while. So brought it back, got it put together, got my health department permits, my state permits, my county permits, and more permits. And I think an extra permit, I don't know if I need it, but you got to get all the permits and hit the road. Started selling our barbecue. First couple times, rough. I was rough. You don't know what you don't know when you start off doing it. And you think you think you have an idea, and you take advice from a lot of people, and some you don't want, but you kind of keep going. And that's how the trailer got started. And it's been wildly successful. I mean, it's unbelievable that how well it has gone. So now we're actually, for the last 6 months, have been actively looking for a brick and mortar to put the trailer outside of it so we can continue our catering, but yet actually have a nice established restaurant. I mean, my trailer's beautiful. It's a full kitchen inside. I do everything in it. Our mac and cheese, all of our meats get smoked in there, but room, right? It's so cramped, and I'm tired of doing all the cooking and all the dishes. I really want somebody else to do the dishes at this point.
Yeah, let's talk about barbecue in general. Let's talk about the initial attraction to it. Let's talk about your roots in it, the curiosity. We talked a little bit about being in the backyard, barbecuing every way possible. Define, or actually, I don't even know how to do this. Like, let's put into tangible vision words what it's like to learn barbecue in the way that you're learning it, to even be able to compete in the first place. Let's bridge that gap from an apprentice standpoint, from needing to gain knowledge.
So barbecuing in your backyard, we know what we all like, right? You like a rib a certain way. You may like a certain cut of rib, and whether it be pork, whether it's a baby back, a St. Louis, or a spare rib, you like what you like. So we tend to cook that way at home. Most people A rib that is excellent to them is a fall off the bone rib, whether they're cooking over charcoal, gas, or pellet. For a competition rib, if it falls off the bone, it's a deduct. You are considered at that point overcooked. You need to, the judge gets one bite. So your flavor profile has got to be perfect on that one bite because they judge you on presentation, flavor, and tenderness. Those are your three categories. So when they bite into a rib, one bite, they want the meat to pull off gently, but leave the impression of your mouth on the rib, if that makes sense. So that's the main difference of barbecuing backyard versus competition. In competition world, everybody uses St. Louis style ribs. They're just a prettier looking rib, generally juicier. If you buy good quality, they have more meat on them than any other rib in the pork world, but they present very nice, very consistent.
So let's talk about this. What style of barbecue do you go with? Cooking methods, as you start leaning in, as you start narrowing down, going into competitions, how do you figure it out? Because there are so many, and barbecue is an industry, so there's a lot of support in the close community, but there are different styles, different orientations, if you will. Where do you start? How do you focus on that? How do you gain what I would call expertise in that?
So the competition, so there's really three categories for barbecue. There's your backyard that we all do 4th of July. There's competition, and then there's, lack of a better word, commercial. All right, the product we're selling at the end of the day. Backyard barbecuing is all rules, everything goes. Inject it, put wine on it, do whatever you want, whatever flavor profile you like, and cook on any method you want. Competition, they only allow two cooking apparatuses, one being a traditional wood smoker, no propane assist, no gas assist, or a pellet grill, which is to me a little bit of a cheater grill. It reminds me of the Easy Bake Oven when we were kids, but very popular, kind of vitalized the barbecue world and smoking meats because they made it so easy and so convenient to do. And then commercial smoking is, most of our tools are bigger commercial smokers, all stainless steel. They're wood fired, but propane assisted for temperature control. And that's how we can produce consistent food every time, because it's thermostatically controlled. Every cut of meat's different, it cooks different, it handles different. But jumping from competition to commercial is actually a very easy transition, because at this point you've already figured out flavor profiles, sweet and savory, sweet heat, those two main flavor profiles when it comes to beef and pork, chicken. So it's a real simple transition. I always tell people, even when they come into our store to buy a new grill or a new smoker or want to learn smoking meats, I tell them to stay off the internet. There's too many things. There's too many people out there with so many different varieties and methods of skinning that cat, when it's literally do it. You're doing it at home. You're not doing it professionally. If you like it, do it that way. If your guests like it, do it that way. But the internet is a little bit of a troublesome area because there is a lot of misleading things. One of the bigger challenges I ever had was elevation. Elevation affects us when it comes to the bigger meats. Cooking up here, we're right here in my backyard sitting by this fire pit. Our elevation is 4,500 feet. We head down to Lodi, we're at 80 feet. Cooking times are longer. Everything cooks faster up here.
Yeah, it's like Denver for sure.
Exactly right.
Let's talk about adjusting it, building a team. It's not just you. How do you find the team members? How do you build a team? How do you put this all together? You mentioned sleeping cots. That's, because you're building a team that's going to move every weekend and compete before you ever have a business. You're going down this path. What is that? Why? Talk to me about the competition. Why do you pursue this? What's driving you? But also putting together that team to do it. What does that look like?
Oh, team members are actually very in barbecue. It seems like are very easy to find because barbecue is more of a cooking of passion, and I, not to take it away from any other cuisine, but cooking in general is a passion. But barbecue seems to it's ingrained in us as Americans, and Fourth of July is everybody's around barbecuing, having fun, drinking a beer, what have you. That's so our team is typically three of us that go and do the competitions. And we travel together well, we cook together well, and it's all out of fun. And that's how it grows from there is you have to like what you're doing first. Competition is just because I don't know if we're egotistical or probably got a bit of narcissism in all of us, but we want to be the best at what we do. And the only way to prove that is with trophies so other people know that you're as good as you think you are.
Yeah, I love it. Let's talk about the journey then. Let's talk about the decision for the food trailer, the drive, the building of the food trailer, handling volume, because one of the things in barbecue that's key when you do go to a restaurant or a setting is the volume in barbecue is significant. Why do people ask? Because it's a lot longer lead time to become a master of barbecue because of the variables. I know everyone that's a chef argues differently. I agree. High end ingredients, everyone gains skills that is scalable. But in barbecue, it's in particularly key. It's not just an association. It's not just something you do in the backyard. It's not something that just translate into a restaurant. So being the mastery of what we're talking about is an important step. So that's why I'm asking the question,
Gotcha. It,
so.
the mastering barbecue is, I don't know. I don't feel like we ever really master anything, right? We're always trying to go farther, but it's like with anything, consistency, quality product, quality meats, your quality ingredients. Like I have a very untraditional way of cooking our brisket, and I do it the exact same way every time. And it is one of our most popular items besides our ribs because we've actually won some really large competitions and gained a lot of notoriety in our area for our ribs. I take a brisket, and this is why I tell people stay off the internet, is the most places brisket, they trim it. It's thawed, it's at room temperature. They smoke it for 12, 14 hours. And that's the tough part about barbecue is time. It is the most time consuming, I think, cuisine there is because everything has to be planned 2 days before you actually think about serving something. But like our brisket, I actually smoke them in our smoker, dead frozen, solid as a rock. And I load them frozen. I don't season them at that point unless they're going to be live sliced in front of a customer. But say off of our truck, everything is chopped for sandwiches, burritos, and that kind of thing. I cook them frozen. And when I remove it out of the smoker between 12, 14 hours, depending on the weight, I instantly throw it in our reefer. So the way we learned to smoke brisket was wrap it in towels, put it in a cooler once it's off the smoker, and slowly rest it like we would a steak. What I learned and what I found is that when we did that, I would unwrap it and all the rendered fat, the beef tallow, would be in the bottom of that cooler or in my towels. When I cool it fast, that actual beef tallow recongeals back into the brisket, and I don't lose a drop of it. It also allows me to slice it at a cooler temperature, so I'm not burning my fingers, but also slicing very consistently by hand. Nice 1/4 inch slices. Everything's the same. Now, if I put a video of that on the internet, the comments would be off the chart negatively until somebody tried it. That's I don't know. It just, that is the way we do it, but consistency. And all of our briskets are Black Angus. We pay a little bit more per pound from it, but they're nice heavy briskets. The weights are nice. The marbling is nice. But that is the biggest thing is consistency, trying to get that exact same product. And we want you to come to our trailer on a Tuesday 1 month and have ribs and brisket, and then come 2 months from now and be the exact same flavor, exact same smoke profile that you had the first time. That's what's important for us.
Talk to me about building customer base, customer feedback, being not trying to please judges anymore necessarily, but you're now trying to please a group of customers. Again, not your flavor profile, but the ones that tend to sell. Talk to me about that.
So pleasing judges is harder than pleasing customers. Customers are our lifeblood. They're the ones that keep us going. But most customers, I have had two. I had two distinct negative reports that will always be in my mind. One gentleman told us that our tri-tip tasted just like vinegar and our mac and cheese smelled like BO, which was very interesting. But
ouch. I don't even know how to say about this. Ouch.
So you have to have somewhat of a thick skin when it comes to anything, because you're not going to please everybody. And that I've known that because of running companies or having my own construction or having our own retail store and now our own barbecue. You learn to develop a pretty thick skin. And I'd say out of two, the other one said our food was worse than prison food. Said it multiple times, and I never reply back, because I'm not going to change your mind via replying back. We apologize, offer them a free meal if they'd like, or a refund. The one lady that said we were worse than prison food, I did tell her, I'm sorry you went to prison. Please provide me the last four of your credit card number and I will gladly refund you. Other than that, it's what's funny is people get very fast on negative and very slow on positive. They're more quick to put something negative, and knock on wood for us, we've only had two, that it's unfortunate. If everybody would be a whole lot better if it was more constructive. At least when we're dealing with competition judges, the good ones will write notes of why they scored you the way they scored you. Where a lot of times with your customer base, they either are going to stop coming to you and that will be the end of you, or they'll go and write a negative review that really has nothing constructive, nothing that we can pull out of it as an operator and go, okay, I hear you. I will gladly work on that. I will change that. And that's the tough part, because we can all deal with constructive criticism. We can all do better, but I need to know where that failure was, because we're so wrapped up. Sometimes we don't know, we don't see the failure. And it's literally with the cooking as we live today, cooking, I'm the only guy cooking. I have help serving. I have help order taking. I have help catering. I have help with the dishes now, thankfully. But when it comes to all the meat and the sides, they're my recipes there, and I cook them. I cook them all. And you do take it personally. You do take it when somebody doesn't like something that you just spent the last 14 hours messing with. It's tough. It can be tough.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
agree.
I don't know if I got your
Yeah,
question.
no, you did. You did 100%. Wow. Let's talk about lessons learned or things like that, things that really grew you during this process, like core value wise, like humbling, like being able to be the person you are today and build the business that you've built. What are some of the lessons, some of the core values you think you've gained?
Boy, lessons. There's been so many, so many, and help from other operators. I have a great friend who has been doing barbecue his whole life. He travels the country in the summer selling his barbecue. He's a funny dude because he's Australian, which is funnier to hear him talk, especially when you get him mad. Australians just cuss better than we do, which is a lot of fun. But one of the biggest lessons that he taught me was he'd always come into my trailer when we were at a show, and he'd say, "Mate, you're working too hard, mate. You're working too hard." And I go, "Well, yeah, maybe I am, but this is how I know how to do it." So he wasn't a very pushy guy by any means, but he would just throw little tidbits at you. Hey, mate, why don't you go buy yourself a timer? A timer, simple timer that you would buy at the hardware store, because I already load my smoker with frozen. Set the timer to click on instead of working all day, driving to where my trailer is, which I keep inside of our shop, and going there at 7 o'clock at night and loading it with meats. Load it while I'm there, set the timer, and it clicks on at 7 o'clock at night. So what he was teaching me was sleep, because that's the one thing you're going to miss out on in the barbecue world is sleep. Everything cooks through the night. You either have to keep it stoked with wood or pellets, and that's one of the best things he taught me was don't forget to manage your time better and sleep. You can be that slave standing at the stove or standing in front of the smoker for 10, 12 hours a day, but you're not going to do it very long. You're going to run down very fast. And 100% right. He was 100% right. That's one of the biggest lessons was don't forget to sleep.
And is that by the nature of having to get things started first thing in the morning, having to be up late at night to serve the customers, and the nature of barbecue in general, the long cook times?
Yeah. Our typical day in the trailer is a 12 to 14 hour day. I break it up with our support staff is somebody in the morning, somebody in the afternoon, but because we cook everything fresh every time, we make our own cheese, we make our own sides, our cornbread, and not even touch meats yet, but just the sides. We only serve 3 hours. We serve 3 hours in the evening, which we've found over time, dinner is the best time for us. One, we don't have to start at 4 in the morning. I start at 7 in the morning, make all my sides, my mashed potatoes, everything. We serve from 3 to 7. And then once we're done serving, we go back to our shop. We pull everything off the floor. We do all of our dishes, and barbecue carries a lot of grease in the smoke. All that rendered fat is floating around. So we wash ceiling, walls, and floors after every service. So long days in the barbecue world, especially out of a trailer. We're not able to break up items. You're not able to have a night shift do prep sides for the next day. Everything is made that morning in that trailer. Currently, until we find a spot, we're going to find a spot that fits us and stop maybe some of these 12, 14-hour days.
Okay. And I mean, commissary, like what is that like for barbecue because of the long cook times? Do you have a commissary? Is it like a shared space? How do you work all through all of that?
So we have our commissary, which is where we take and we dump, our gray water, because that's the big thing. Our meats we get from a local butcher, so we're fresh in the morning or the night before. We're fresh. Our sides, they're dry products, so we keep them in the trailer. So our commissary is literally one for licensing and two to dump our gray water, fill with fresh, and dump our fryer oil when we change it. So commissary is a must. You have to have it. They're very strict. I mean, you've seen an explosion in the food truck industry, especially during COVID, right? Restaurants were closed. Food trucks exploded. They were kind of pretty willy-nilly. It was kind of Wild West around here for food trucks. Everybody had one, did what they wanted. Nobody knew where they were dumping gray water. There wasn't a lot of rules. And so now our municipalities have been very aggressive on catching up on those rules. So we even now we have a new one this year, a new license is our gas lines have to be inspected every year, along with our twice a year hood service and cleaning, our fire extinguishers, and then your yearly licenses. And for us, we carry 3 municipalities because we have our county, we have Sparks and Reno. Those are 2 different cities, even though they run into each other. But you have to have a license in each municipality. When we travel, we pull whatever municipality permit is for that 1 or 2 days. But commissaries are tough. They're hard to find because a lot of restaurants don't like you to, they don't want to be part of it because it increases their inspections as well. But you to be successful at it, you really have to have a good relationship with a restaurant in order for them to, one, trust you to come in there, whether they're closed after hours, that you have a key or a card access to get in. So it's really, the food industry is already pretty close, but sometimes they feel threatened, and it's like you're going to be taking from them, or you're going to be adding more inspections to them, which they don't want. Nobody wants to be bothered by inspections. I don't mind the inspections. It's just they always come right when you're the busiest.
Amazing. I agree with you 100% on this. It's when you need to be held the most accountable for whatever reason. It's like they can sniff it out, like they know what they're doing. But let's talk about equipment, putting the trailer together. Since we're talking about inspections and all the pieces and things that are difficult, when you built it, when you came up with the idea, you obviously had to think about all of this. Talk to me about that, like equipping this thing, letting it handle the volume that you need it to handle to make it a business that's viable, that you can build eventually a brick and mortar. What does that look like? What did it look like to lay out the space and everything? How did you figure it all out?
Well, it's never as big as you want it. you never have enough flat surfaces in a trailer. Because no matter what, we do it at home. Yeah, every flat surface, something lands on it, whether it's your car keys or today's mail. You never have enough room. So I came up with an idea in our trailer. So going from tail to nose, we have an open porch on the back, which is an 8-foot porch. It's gated. You see the exterior of our smoker, which is all stainless steel, and it's got a big neon sign on it. It says Battleborn Smokers. And now I have built another Santa Maria grill back there, which is really for show. It's for weddings, so they can see us show for cooking off chicken and that kind of stuff. But inside the trailer is our smoker door. It's a rotisserie smoker that holds, I think I can put 8 cases of ribs in it. And from there, what I ended up doing was a bunch of flip-up shelves, because space is so tight, especially if you get I'm not a big guy, but a couple of the guys that work with me in there once in a while, they're bigger guys, and it's tough to get around somebody when they're a bigger guy. So everywhere you land something or anywhere you're prepping something, it's a flip up shelf. So it flips up and locks into place. Everything's obviously stainless, but that was one of the best modifications. And I didn't make that modification until about 6 months after operating. Because like you said, you don't know exactly what you don't know. I knew planning for outlets. I knew I wanted an oven, a cooktop. I'm not a flat top guy. I didn't need one. We don't do a lot of flat top cooking in the barbecue world. Warming cabinet and refrigeration. And then obviously at the front is 3-compartment sink. We hold 60 gallons of gray water and 50 gallons of fresh. Our total length of our trailer is 32 feet, weighs about 17,000 pounds going down the road. And I run 4 steam tables at big events. If I'm feeding over 100 people in 2 hours, I run all 4 steam tables. If I'm feeding 150 people over 3 hours, I don't. I run 2. And one is only holding mac and cheese, and the other one is holding pulled pork. I run our beans out of a steam kettle for like you would put your soups in. Everything else, my ribs, my brisket, tri-tip, all stays in our warming cabinet and is pulled out, sandwiches made, parfaits made, whatever needs to be made at that point. But the warming cabinet was probably, I'm thankful for it every time I use it. Matter of fact, when we get over 200 people, I struggle for room for product, whether it be buns, tater tots. I got plenty of room for coleslaws and garnishes. I end up using my smoker as a warmer because I can fit 8 full size steam table pans safely in our smoker, and it'll sit there at 140 the whole time. So space is always tricky. Space. And it's got to be roadworthy. You got to be able to travel down the road.
Because the weight, it matters, popping tires, all that stuff, those type of things.
Well, shaking your product off. So I put up all these beautiful shelves and I have some closed cabinets. Well, later I added a piece of stainless to the front of the shelf. So when I open the door, all the spices don't fall out. Or above our sinks, a lip on all those shelves so nothing lands on the floor as you're traveling down the road.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Little tricks, little things that you learn along the way.
Yeah, I had all those happen to me. Definitely when we had the fried chicken trailers and other food trailers, stuff not stepped down, miss something. You learn new things with every new thing you try to do. Let's talk about, we talked a little bit about a brick and mortar and hoping that it would go there. Let's talk about what that looks like. How do you know it's the right time? How do you know you're the right place? Let's just start talking about this, like that next step. How is this going on in your head? What's the thought process? How do you are setting goals towards that process? Because I think each part of your journey has been those setting of goals, conquering those goals, setting new goals.
Absolutely. The brick and mortar at this point is, everything's an evolution, right? We keep moving forward, and even when we do set out a nice plan, it doesn't necessarily happen that way. And you have to adapt enough to be able to pivot. Well, for me, it's almost like a yearning, almost like a calling. Is like, that's where I need to be. But I base it off of budgetary wise. Everything at the end of the day comes down to dollars. Does it make sense? So I base it off of what I produce out of our trailer. I run it 2 nights a week, every week. I run it Tuesdays and Thursdays. I actually took tonight off, but it's how much do I produce profit wise in 1 month off of those 2 days a week. That's about the number I have in my head for rent. Right? When you're kind of throwing down some numbers on a spreadsheet or a back of a napkin, because I've done plenty of that. is size, location. We have a few barbecue restaurants here. We have two that are been here a very long time, have a very good track record, are really good operators. But for a population, we're probably our population is probably getting close to 400, 500,000 here in Reno, which has grown exponentially over the last 3 years, extremely fast. But finding a location for us that is small enough square foot wise to manage, large enough to be able to turn enough tables at the end of the day to justify its existence is proving to be very difficult. Finding somewhere that one, and there's a caveat that I have that's a little different for a lot of folks, is my trailer needs to be at whatever brick and mortar we do end up finding. Part of the reason is because my smoker is on my trailer and is a licensed facility with the hand sink and cleanliness and everything inside the trailer. To put a smoker into an existing building as big as they are is not very conducive. It's either tearing down a wall or it's removing, if it's a storefront scenario, it's removing a section of the storefront and trying to get it back into a kitchen area under a hood. So a quick fix for me is that, well, our trailer just needs to be there. I continue to smoke the meats in the trailer, and that way I still cater, because catering is just amazing. It's a lot of fun, and it honestly is the most profitable based on the number of people you're going to serve. And we hit the street, I don't know how many people we're going to serve. We could get a rush and sell out in an hour, or we could be going home with product. So it's tricky to manage that, as you know, if you have that chicken trailer. You don't know how many people you're going to serve at that time. But there's two leads we're looking at right now on a building. One of them's perfect for the trailer, but the other one is perfect in size. So it's a weird balance. The one I like is, one, it's close to my house, and two, there's plenty of room for the trailer, easy to hook up. I can have a line brought out so I can run gray water right off of my trailer. The other one doesn't allow for that, but it's also half the size. So clear direction for brick and mortar, it's a little cloudy still.
I like this. Anything, motivation, things that keep you going, anything I didn't cover, any questions I didn't ask that you maybe want to talk about? I want to give you time to quick talk about those before I ask some following questions. I want to make sure you have the mic for a while.
Motivation for us is just, it's fun. It's rewarding. It's something about feeding people is more rewarding to me than it was building them something. Because most times in construction, it's because they had to, or something got damaged, or it's a repair, or nobody wants to build a parking garage. They don't want to because they cost millions of dollars. Does it pay off later? Yeah, maybe. But people have a choice of where they eat. They have a choice of what cuisine they're going to go for that night. And when they pick you and they give you that bite and that look, that look when they bite into something and they're like, this is the best thing I've ever had. That is more rewarding that's the motivation, is to see that look. That's what we do it for. I mean, we don't do it for practice. We don't. It's for that. It's for that reason only. It's kind of cool.
I love it. Let's talk about time together, business partnerships, family, your team, communication, because you are taking a lot of time to do this. You do spend a lot of time doing it. How do you navigate all the commitments in life, the responsibilities, and the need to do this. One of the things you anchored earlier was you need to find sleep. So in that need to find sleep, how have you found balance? How have you found that in your relationships? How have you sort of started to structure life appropriately?
Well, balance is very tricky. It's always tricky. And the way we're handling balance now is potentially offloading the store, because that's another time consumer is our actual retail location. My wife is a saint. I don't know how she puts up with me half the time, especially she doesn't like smoked food. So I come home, I stink to her. To my buddies, I smell good, but to her, I don't smell good. And we have our niece that lives with us. So balance in family has become a lot more important as far as creating that time. And part of switching to a brick and mortar and eliminating our retail space through a sale is freeing of more time. It allows me to be home. Instead of getting home at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, I can be home at 4, 5 o'clock at night and be present in the evening when they're here, which is the most important thing. But, team members around you, everybody becomes pretty like-minded, like the saying, water seeks its own level. People in the barbecue world like to see other people in the barbecue world succeed. And it's the support I've had just even from some local restaurants here is unbelievable. We actually make our sauce at another barbecue restaurant, brick and mortar, who's been in this town for a lot of years. We actually make our sauce in his restaurant. And he never asked a question. I'd text him and say, hey, can I come by tomorrow? Can I come by next week? Yeah, sure, no problem. I go by there and I use his kitchen and I make our sauce. So support, both family and community wise, you have to have it or you don't succeed. I don't know, we're very blessed in that way that we have a lot of support, whether friends, when we do big shows, all of our friends, I don't have a big friend circle. You work too much, you don't get a lot of friends, and as you get older, I guess we get less friends. But our friend circle that we do have, they will come and spend all day working at a booth, selling ribs, and never ask for a dime. They're not expecting anything. They're literally there to support, which is absolutely awesome.
Let's finish it off this way. Building sauces that complement your product, building sides that complement your product. It's a little bit different than competition. Walk us through that, because you had to build a whole menu this time.
Yeah. Building a menu is fun. Barbecue is very expensive to make. None of our food costs are low. Tri-tip is going through the roof again. Ribs are going through the roof again. And part of it is, oddly enough, we import a lot of beef. And that's part of why we're seeing cost increases. But beef is also very expensive. So making a menu that allows you to double use something in another ingredient or another side is what I figured out one of the most important things. So we make what we call cowboy beans, and we make them every day. We make about 5 gallons at a time. And what I learned is I take any tri-tip I had from the day before, or brisket from the day before, that gets chopped up and into my beans. So now we've added another layer to our beans that most people don't expect, is nice chunks of brisket in a bean. Our mac and cheese it's fresh. I cut a 10-pound block of cheddar, 6-pound block of Gouda, a few other secret ingredients I can't tell you. And that's probably one of the most favorite things on our menu that I like is our mac and cheese and our ribs, but being able to use things. So we make a burrito called the trough. And it literally came to fruition because I would end up with too much mashed potatoes and sometimes too much pork at the end of the day, pulled pork. And I'm like, okay, how can I burn through this? Because not everybody wants a pulled pork sandwich. Just one of the pulled pork is there's a very limited meat on what to do with it. So I came up with this burrito called the trough. It's 2 tortillas. It's our mac and cheese, our cowboy beans, mashed potatoes, and pulled pork. And we give you a cheesy bib with a picture of a lobster on it to eat this burrito with, because it literally takes 2 hands. But that's how I figured out a way to use my sides and my ingredients, but in a different format. Brisket mac and cheese burrito, probably our number 1 seller. We sell hundreds of these things. Simply mac and cheese, brisket with an ancho chipotle sauce on it, wrapped up in a burrito. You don't think, you go to somewhere for barbecue, you're not thinking you're going to get a burrito, but it's amazing. It sells hundreds of them. And it's just about it's not, I don't think it's very creative, but it's about maximizing menu with the same ingredients you're already carrying, because again, space, right? We're very limited on space.
Amazing. Let's talk about your menu more in detail. What are your best sellers? What are the things that sell the most? What do you do when you have catering? Do you do specialty menus? Let's dive into that real quick. I know I said it was my last question, maybe. I can't remember, but let's dive into that a little bit.
So our menu is, man, it's fun, it's manageable, but it's fairly simple, but with a good combination. We got some acid, some crunch, and barbecue is very savory. So you have to be careful there and balance some things out. So coleslaw's on a lot of things to provide that acidic and give you that crunch, especially like on a brisket sandwich. Brisket sandwich is very savory. Our sauce, our main sauce that we use off of our trailer is our mild sauce, which is more sweet forward, no heat. Our ribs, we add our hot sauce, our hot barbecue sauce, which is a sweet heat. It's a great balance. But our number 1 seller, easy, brisket mac and cheese burrito. It would be a close second between our brisket sandwich, our tri-tip sandwich, and ribs. Our ribs sell very well. We sell out just about every time we do our ribs. As a matter of fact, we're nominated this year for Community Choice Awards or something along those lines for best ribs, which would be cool. I mean, accolades are great, but catering's a little bit different animal because bridesmaids won't eat ribs. They won't do it. It's bad for pictures and it's bad for the dresses. So a way we combated that,
stuff in your teeth. Yeah,
exactly. So the way we combated that is when we do ribs, especially, we provide wet wipes and we provide floss picks. It's amazing, those 2 penny items, the reception you get from the guests just for thinking of those few little things. Our menu is basically the same on catering, and we use a program now. I just started it at the end of last year called Cateries. Have you heard of that one?
Oh, I've never heard of it.
It's great. It's basically a big management of your catering. So it takes a lot of legwork in the beginning. You have to input your menu. You have to input your ingredients, which is obviously that is the most time consuming part. But we get a client that comes to us, 95% of our clients are referrals, or we're at a wedding that we catered and they book us. But all I need is their name, their address and contact info. I only input it once. I send them all menu options with pricing by it. They select what they want. We tell them typically, pick 2 sides, pick 2 meats. We'll provide the rolls, butter, sauces, that kind of stuff. Typically nice to have a cold side, which we don't offer cold sides off of our trailers except for coleslaw. But on weddings and caterings, we provide macaroni salads, potato salads, that kind of thing. It really freed up more time for me and kept me really organized, because we're almost booked out for this summer for caterings already, and it logs them into this program in the order they're coming. So they're right in the order. I can quick glance at them. I can print kitchen details, and it will tell me how many pounds of meat, how many pounds of mac and cheese and ingredients. It took me from sitting at a desk with my calculator, multiplying ounces per person, dividing. It just took a lot of that away. Took several hours to input, but now it's saving me several hours after the fact. So back to, freeing up time, working smarter, not harder. That has been huge. We do whole hogs for weddings and any other catering, which is a ton of fun. I did learn that a lot of people won't eat pulled pork if it has a face.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
It's like
they'll eat
fish
it.
with a face when people bring out the whole broadzini or whatever.
Exactly. When you have, and we don't do big ones. They're 70, 80 pounders. But yeah, when that face is right there and they're golden, dark brown and crispy skin and nice juicy meat inside, yeah, you can see it. You can see it in their face. They're like, I'm not eating that. Interesting though.
Yeah, very interesting.
Don't know where their food comes from.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's the whole thing in whole animal utilization and not wasting a life. There's whole layers here.
Absolutely. Yes. There's rabbit holes on
Yeah.
all of that.
Let's talk about one last thing for me. Marketing, advertising, social media, things like that. That's how I found you. We didn't touch upon it, but you started to talk about it a little bit, and it isn't something I asked, but let's talk about building that, both from a team perspective, competition-wise, and also then carrying what social media now looks like for a business.
Oh man, social media is crazy. It's there's a plus and a negative to all of it, right? It's almost a necessary evil we live in today is social media. Like I said, 95% of our caterings come from referrals, because word of mouth is still the most trusted form of communication. But you have to have an online presence, and is as crazy as it is, I do all of our social media, and I don't know if I'm doing good at it. I mean, you found me, so I must have popped up somewhere, but it's a thing. You have to stay on it. You have to keep going with it. And it's weird to watch every day more people start to follow, and it just escalates and keeps going, but it also brings in crazy scams. It's nuts. I just started a new t-shirt line for our company with the rub my butt shirt and the
I
pull
love
my
it.
pork shirt.
Yeah.
A lot of fun, but it's the last 30 messages I've got on Insta or Facebook have been scams. They're just fake, and you just have to not let that discourage you either. Back to that thick skin, and just persevere through it. Delete them, report them, do whatever you need to do, and keep moving on. But that's how we advertise our schedule. That's how we advertise what part of town we're going to be in. We release a monthly schedule, and people print it, they pin it, they fill out their schedule. We had a gal come to us last Thursday and said, yeah, I wait for your schedule every month, and when you're on my side of town, I put it into my schedule, so I don't have to make dinner that night. I know you guys are going to be there. One thing I learned about the food industry, especially the mobile food industry, very flaky. It's I've never received more comments from corporate clients and or public when we go to a public location of, oh, I'm so glad you showed up. What? What do you mean? Isn't that how everybody does it? They're like, no, we book people all the time and they don't show up. Huh. Odd, but okay. Yeah, it's interesting to me how flaky the food, especially mobile food, can be. It's interesting, but yeah, social media, that's how people know where we are, where we're going to be. Even caterings come through there, not a lot, but you have to do it. You have to keep up on it. I don't have the TikTok one. I actually tried to download it the other day, and you can't download the app. If you have it, you have it. If you don't have it, you can't get it now.
Yeah, I know. It's really weird, right? I have it. That's why I'm lucky I had a name. Thank goodness. People are selling phones for tens of thousands of dollars. It was crazy. I saw this whole thing on Instagram about it. But anyway, you obviously stay busy. You're capturing your content. You do something that's appealing to people. I think that's probably has a lot to do with it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could probably get out there and dance in front of the trailer, but nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, no kidding. I know. I think those are the teasers, but I don't, it is what it is, I guess. Last question for you as we finish off. Where can we find you online? Where can they try your product? How do they know where the food trailer is? All of that good stuff.
So battlebornsmokers.com is our website. We have our shirts. I have a little confusion. We have a Google pages and an actual website. The Google pages shows our menu, our typical food truck menu. Our actual website does not yet. It will. But really, we're most current of our location, our schedule, and where we're headed, whether it's a big pop-up show or catering or hitting the street, is our Facebook and Instagram, which is Battleborn Smokers on Facebook and Battleborn Smokers Official on Instagram. We both of those are tied together really nice since they're both owned by Meta. Content shares across both of them very nice, but that's mostly where we post everything, where we're headed, where we're going, and where you can find us. And any caterings or anything like that, they generally come to us, find us, and that's where they'll do their samples, and we take care of them and basically give them a sample of everything we have on the truck at that time, including our homemade chicharrones.
Love this. What's your favorite barbecue as we end everything? What's your favorite barbecue thing in general? And then what's the favorite thing that you serve?
My favorite is probably our ribs and our tri-tip, then brisket. I'm just not a big brisket guy. Never have been. It's just a big cut of meat and it's a long time to cook. But yeah, those are probably my favorite. And of course, our mac and cheese people, except for that one guy on the internet, but people always come back for the mac and cheese.
Yeah, I can totally see you doing something with that product, especially the online traction that product gets, the cheese itself. I can see that in particular is probably going to be a big all-star on your menu, especially if you really start to play with it once you get into brick and mortar and you have more room, staff to develop and not spend as much time moving or prepping in your business. That's the thing about brick and mortars. You're not moving, but the prep and the cooking and the serving are all done at the same time, which is different than a food trailer or a truck. So
absolutely. I have so many notes written down of things I want to play with. It's not conducive in the trailer at this point. So I have them in my back pocket. And when we get a brick and mortar, watch out, Reno, because there's going to be some crazy things that you don't see at a typical barbecue stand.
Nice. I cannot wait. I hope to have you back on in a few months. Hopefully we talk about it, get through the summer. Maybe there's some development of a brick and mortar in your future, some more lessons learned. But I appreciate your time, Ron, very much. I mean, this has been awesome. I've loved it, and I hope and we'll be rooting for you for sure, and definitely going to connect you with some other barbecuers who have been on the, or should I call them pit masters, champions of barbecue, both past and present, that have been on the podcast, or people I know. I think that would be fun for you guys to connect. So thank you everyone for listening in. I'm losing my voice, guys. 4 podcasts in. It's about to go. I can feel it. I love you guys. Thank you for listening in. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you, Ron, for the time, doing it so late on a Tuesday night. It's 8:10 p.m. Mountain Time now, so it must be 7:10 maybe where you are. Are you on Mountain Time, Pacific Time? I'm sure. But yeah, so I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing in the world, and I appreciate you growing the world of barbecue and of entrepreneurship and restaurateurship for sure, developing humans, building businesses, developing tax dollars, however you want to look at it, all the way around. It's good things. So thank you.
Thank you very much for this platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Love you guys. In the audience, keep listening, sharing, keep going to Gorilla Brave. I appreciate the community that's building and the fellowship that's building there. And we're out.